Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Keith here. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Rash Blood. This is a fourth installment of my On the Bench series, and tonight we are going to do some work with my trusty Squire P bass, Brunhilde. She brings the boom, man. But we're going to give her a good cleaning, and we're also going to add some flavor with some Red Devils made by DR. They're coated and they're red, and it's going to look tight. Going to add some new knobs. Most of the stuff we're doing tonight is just an excuse to give it a good cleaning and change the strings, and it's going to just be an aesthetic change, but fun nonetheless. But yeah, you've seen her in many of my videos. She's trusty and always stays in tune. She plays well, you know, and it might be a Squire, but I really have no complaints. Yeah, I love her. So anyway, let's get to it, alright? Alrighty, so now that I got the old strings off, I'm just assessing what kind of wear on the pots, the input jack, the saddles. You know, check out all the little nooks and crannies of the machine and make sure everything's tight and properly lubricated and cleaned. I neglect my basses a lot more than I do my guitars, unfortunately. But the strings seem to have a better longevity than guitar strings, so I'm much more inclined to be lazier about them. But you know, they deserve a good love and affection and some TLC too. So definitely what I'm going to do is give this a good cleaning. First step is what I use. I'm using the Dunlop 65 guitar polish and cleaner. And the Dunlop 65 fretboard lemon oil. I swear by lemon oil. A lot of musicians do, obviously, and luthiers and guitar techs and so on and so forth. But yeah, this fretboard has definitely got some skin oils and residue and sweat and blood and you know what I mean, and torn cuticles and stuff like that. But yeah, so definitely deserves a cleaning. So basically I always start with the body, because when I get to the neck I like to give it a good cleaning, inspect the frets. Now these frets are extremely dirty, and this guitar probably would deserve a good fret polishing, and I don't think it needs a crowning. The frets are pretty smooth. There's some rough spots on it, but you know what I mean, it could be cleaned up. But I don't know, I kind of want to get it back together and playing it instead of going through this process of extending the the project here. It was supposed to be just a couple hours tonight because I had the time. It's a couple days before Christmas, and working the later shift tomorrow, so I have some ample time to do this, and I'm excited. So, without further ado, let's start with the cleaning. I use microfibers. I find them perfect for the task. Always start out though by using my X-Power blower, and basically it's like a hair dryer without the heat. It's just forced air, and it's great. Instead of buying compressed air, I don't like the chemical nature of that stuff, and it's prohibitively expensive, and you're literally just buying a can of compressed air. It's just insane to me. So it makes no sense. So I dropped $50 on Amazon, and ta-da! So just give everything a good, you know, especially where all the dust builds up. And this just gives a good courtesy cleaning, cleans out all the electronics, you know, some dust, and I'm going to use some deoxit. I highly recommend deoxit. I've talked about it in different videos, and it's great for the volume pots and when things get scratchy and there's so much, you know, dust in there. One thing about this, and eventually I'm going to modify this instrument, I'm going to get rid of the input jack that's actually in the pick guard. And I understand it because it's cheap, it's ease of use, but this part of this pick guard has a tendency to flex, and then this spins, and you know, if you don't have a 90 and you have, you know, a straight out input jack for your guitar, it's an inevitability that this is going to happen. I mean, I tuck my cable around my guitar strap when I'm playing it, and that does help it a tad, but it is loose. It constantly gets loose, and it's a pain in the ass. So eventually what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to get nut up and get the drill bit to do it, and I'm going to go through the body into the cavity that's under the pick guard, and I'm going to do like that modification, and I think that would be good. I even have the jack for it. I just don't have the bit, and I don't know. I'm just nervous drilling into the, you know, I want to make sure if I do it, I'm studied up on it. So I've never done it. I'm sure it's easy enough, but you know, I'm going to be cracking the finish, and then there's going to be some work to deal with that. I'm afraid that it's going to spread, so I don't know how to mitigate that. So definitely got to do my research. But all right, well, I'm not going to sit here and let you get your ears blown out by this thing. So I'll be right back, and I'll be continuing with the cleaning process. All right. Well, I got that done, but before I start doing the polishing and the neck work, I have to address some issues with the volume in the tone pot and the input jack. Again, because it's mounted to, you know, this flimsy, plasticky, crappy freaking pick guard here, very flat, has a tendency to flex. You know, you can actually, you can't see it, but it's actually curled up here, up off the body. It's driving me crazy. It's from the torque from the jack. So what I have to do is a temporary fix, again, until I can do that modification I talked about previously. So making noise over here. I'm just gonna do this with a pair of pliers because I am lazy and I do not feel like getting out my socket set. So, and these are not that loose. I'm just, before I install some new knobs that I got, well, they're not new, I mean, I've had them, I just haven't utilized them yet, but I like them. They're actually part of a Les Paul set, a four pack, that, and I have two of them on my 7-string, and it's like a clear acrylic knob. Well, you know what? I'll get to that. I'm getting ahead of myself. I beg your pardon. So, alright. So all I'm doing right here, I got you out of camera. I'm just taking the plier, you know what I mean, and I'm just tightening it. It's not glamorous, but it is what it is. Now, before I do anything else, before I start doing the polish and all that stuff, I highly recommend the, as I said before, the deoxit. You can get this stuff. You know, this is like a contact cleaner. I mean, I'm sure there's other brands of this that does the same exact thing. It's probably the same chemicals and whatnot, but I just know the Deoxit D5. I swear by this stuff. You can get it at music shops. You can get it at hardware stores. You know, anyway, I highly recommend it. So, just going to give it a spritz, an initial spritz on all volume, tone, and the input. Let it sit there for a minute, and then I usually just put my microfiber down on my workbench, and I just flip the guitar over and let it drain. Now, they recommend you spray once, you drain it, then you spray again, and that will be, you know, any residue or any kind of, you know, material that's gotten into the you know, it's great stuff. I swear by it. It'll wake up a staticky guitar, you know, anything, like on my power amp, you know, You'll get a little bit of popping in that, and that's from the dust. The deoxit improves it. It just improves the connections and, you know, keeps them clean. It's good shit. I swear by it. So again, just gonna take another fire out of it on both of them. Not so much this time. Give it a minute to work itself down, and then flip it over and let it drain out into a microfiber. Okay. All right. I mean, if you wanted to, you could plug it up and sit there, you know, if it's really bad. But I know these aren't that bad. This is just part of my procedure of maintenance on a guitar, you know, bass guitar, or just a regular 6-string or my 7-string or what have you, whatever I'm working on, applies to all. So, all right. Okay. So now we're going to take the guitar polish. Some people spray right to the body of the instrument. Some put it in the cloth. I do a little bit of both. I'll take the cloth, and I'll just spray a little bit into said cloth, but then I'll just put a couple pops, trying to avoid the pickups. And, you know, but it doesn't really matter. It's actually a really good cleaner. I mean, these are cheap plastic pickups. As long as I don't get them into the post and stuff like that, it's just fine. And there's no real rhyme or reason. I mean, I'm not looking for a super finish. This is a beat-up instrument. This is a workhorse. I'm constantly playing this thing. So, you know, I'm not looking for perfection. I mean, there's so many freaking scuff marks. I mean, some people would sit there and go to the extent, like if they were washing and polishing a car, you know, get that perfect sheen. I'm not looking for that at all. So I'm just looking to get the dust out of there, just to get the body oils and the grime out of here, and just, you know, general maintenance, you know. And it's I find it important as a musician, whether you play a guitar, a bass, a keyboard, whatever's your bag, you should have an intimate knowledge of your instrument. You should know it inside and out, and you should be able to maintain it, fix it, and keep it going yourself. I mean, it's wonderful to take it to somebody, you know, but in this day and age, with YouTube and tons of information online, you can literally watch somebody show you how to do it yourself. And once you just get the gumption to do it, you'll be surprised what you can do, especially with some tutelage. It's amazing, you know. That's what the internet's good for. There's a lot of ugliness on the internet, but there's a lot of good for it too. I mean, it's an infinite knowledge base, you know. And that may scare some, and some people, you know, pervert it or abuse it, but then, you know, like I said, what this is pure. So sharing information, sharing a passion. Somebody might enjoy what I do, you know, just like I enjoy what they do. And I don't know, it's nice, it's fun. I like recording video, and I don't get to do it often enough. So, all right. Well, so I'm babbling at this point. So the polishing is done. I'm not looking for, you know, I got to get the horns. I always forget the horns, sorry. But what we're going to do next is lay down some lemon oil on this fretboard. Now again, this thing, these frets are really corroded. Though I can clean them up a little bit with the lemon oil polish and everything, and that'll be sufficient for now. But honestly, next time I change the strings, it's gonna need a polishing. Polishing is definitely a freaking chore. Gotta get the Dremel out. Gotta put a whole little thing because it sprays everywhere, the polish and stuff like that. So I gotta have this little plastic freaking guard to keep all my stuff in the studio clean, and it's just, you know, it's a pain in the arse. So I'm gonna avoid it tonight. I'm gonna be lazy. So not looking for perfection. So just want a little project that's gonna be quick, make some content. I'm not sure. I might put this up without. I usually do a playthrough at the end of the video on the bench series. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to do it this round or not. I don't know. We'll see how long this how long it is in editing. I don't want to have it any longer than a half an hour. I suspect that most people will fade out within the first 10 minutes if I'm lucky. If that would be definitely luck if somebody lasts that long. But I digress. I don't know. It might be interesting to some. But yeah, I might just put something together, a little quick snippet of me playing it, just so you can hear the sound of these strings and everything. But anyway, so here we go. So fretboard 65, made by Dunlop, Ultimate Lemon Oil. I've used a bunch of different things. I've used monkey spit. I've used not monkey spit, lizard spit. The lizard spit stuff, it's really oily. It's really slick, and it doesn't seem to absorb well. Like the Dunlop stuff seems so much better, and I swear by it. So basically, what I do is when I'm doing the fretboard, I start now. Here, there's a lot of space above the nut. That, not above the nut. Technically, I guess it would be below the nut. I suspect. But anyway, there's the end of the fretboard. I'm going to start there, and then I'm going to work my way down, and I'm going to give it a good ample schlacking of it. All right, so it's going to be messy, and that's fine. It's going to wrap around the other side of the neck, and that's fine too. I actually kind of like that on the back of the neck too. That gives a nice slick feeling, especially with fresh strings. And fresh strings on a bass are very exciting. I've been using the DRs again. I'm using the Red Devil DRs. They're coated strings. I don't like coated strings on guitars, but I do like them on bass. And I guess it's because it keeps my calluses intact. Like because the braiding on the strings, on normal strings, like tear me up. But the coating, I guess, is some kind of silicone based thing. I have no idea. All these companies claim to have all these wicked technologies and stuff like that, and I suspect they do, but it's beyond me. As long as the string it has playability and longevity, and I swear by DRs. I've been playing DRs for over 10 years. I even wrote these guys an email telling them just telling them how much I love their products. So I use them on everything: my acoustics, my electrics, and my basses. And I had a pair of high beams on there, and I ran the Red Devils before. And I liked them. I just changed them out just for a change. But, yeah. And I have Black Beauties on my blue Ibanez Sound Gear 4-string bass, Midnight. I have black on there. And that's black coated strings on there. And they're just dope. I love it. I plays it like... I need to get into the electronics on that machine. That's going to be another project soon. I just don't. I just think it's got some corroded connections. I think a good deep cleaning with some deoxit, maybe some resoldering, getting rid of some. Maybe there's some loose solder points. Just go through the electronics. I might just keep it simple, and actually buy a harness and just replace it. It's a lot easier than trying to problem solve where it's coming from. You end up ripping everything apart anyway, so it's just sometimes either swap in a new harness, maybe throw some copper tape in there to keep it from get radio interference. It's a great machine, like I said, but it could be. I want to make it better because it deserves to be better. So, all right, well, I'm going to fade out this segment here because this is going to take a little bit to soak in, and then I'm going to give it a good cleaning, and then I'm going to give it another round of it, and then when I come back, we're going to unleash these Red Devils and start getting them on here, and you're going to see what's going to the aesthetic. And anybody that knows me, my favorite colors in the whole wide world are black, white, and red, and this thing. All my guitars are like hot rods. They have that. That's my vibe, and I know it's just an aesthetic thing and it's silly and all, but no, it is for the feel too. And I don't know, it gives it mojo, gives it attitude. And an instrument needs to have that. And you pick it up and you just like, yeah, you know what? I got to give this. This thing deserves to be played to death. You know what I'm saying? So that's the goal. So all right, next segment. Haha, greetings. All right, here we go. DR Red Devils. Now, I'm going to make fun of myself here because I always freaking dog unboxings on YouTube. I don't know. I don't get any thrill out of watching somebody open up a box and pulling something out. I get the idea of it, but I'd rather... It's okay, like, if it's leading to something. If somebody's unveiling like a new instrument, you know, like the Trogley's guitar show. I love what he does. He shows off the instrument, but he breaks it apart. He takes it down. He pulls the pickups up. He gives it a good freaking thorough freaking critique, and I highly recommend that show. Yeah. So I'm gonna make fun of myself because here we go, unboxing, right? All right. So. These things are awesome. And the aesthetic on a black guitar with a white pickguard and red strings. Look at them suckers. They just, you know, and the funny thing is they sound great. They sound just like the high beams. They're phenomenal. I got a thinner set. I'm running the 45 to 105s because I'm solely, you know, primarily a guitarist, and it's a good transition when I'm tracking. They're thinner, so it's not so, it doesn't feel intrusive. It feels like I can just switch between the two and not, you know, have to change up anything, if you will. Like most of my videos that I'm restringing an instrument, I'm not going to sit here and talk your ear off and show you every single string. I'm going to put the 4-string or the E string on first, show you that, and then I'm going to turn, you know, end the segment, finish it out, come back, talk about the instrument, and give you the final presentation, and so on and so forth. We'll add the knobs, and, you know, you'll get to see the finished product, and then eventually I'll perform on it, and you'll get to hear it as well as check it out and how bitchin' it looks. So, basses are interesting to string. Multitude of different ways of doing it. Every time I do these things, it changes the way I don't. And this has the split post, and I'm darn it, not a big fan of the split post, and I understand why to run a split post, you know, on this instrument, but I'd rather have a through post, if you will, or for the lack of a better term, you have to excuse me if I don't use the proper terminology, but you know what I mean. So, anyways, what I like to do is I twist this, especially on the thicker gauge string, I twist it around once, and then I bring it through the post. Then I start bringing it to tension. There's a bunch of schools of thoughts on how to prepare a new string. Like, a lot of people will sit there and pre-bend them. They'll wrap them around their fists. You know, I used to do that. Honestly, I don't find I don't find much of a difference. It just seems like to me, for me, and the way I do things, it's just a wasted step. I pull them as I'm bringing them up to tension on the instrument. You know what I mean? And honestly, that's why I stick with Ibanez on a lot of my gear. The Fenders that I have, even like, you know, I have 2 Squiers. I have a Mexi Strat, and that thing is pristine. I love that machine. That thing, I've had that thing for, good grief, going on 12 years now. I love it. My second guitar. And then I have a Squier Telly, the orange one, more like a copper. And then, you know, this. And, you know, I don't find any, you know, now granted I'm not paying $1,000 P bass or anything, but I'm happy with this machine. It does exactly what I need it to do. You know, will I upgrade the pickups down the road? Sure. You know, but everything I do to it, it just makes it, you know, uniquely mine. And I don't know. I don't scoff at inexpensive instruments. You know, I do this on a budget. It's not like I'm a professional at this at all. So, you know, every dollar counts. So, you know, with some simple modifications and maintenance and some and ingenuity, you can take an inexpensive instrument and turn it into a beast of a workhorse. And I do every day. So, Anyway, that's that for the stringing, okay? I'm going to put the other 3 strings on, and then, like I said, we'll put on the knobs and all that stuff and get the strap going, and I'll show you the final presentation. All right? All right. Hang tight. All right. Crisis averted. All nice and fixed. All brought up to proper tension. It is now in tune to standard. And, yeah. The knobs. Oh, I hate these little baggies. Yep, they're just acrylic and speed knobs. And then it's black, clear, with white numbering. And then it's got a ring of red in there to coincide with the bitchin' red strings that are now on good old Brunhilde here. Yeah, I have the same ones on my 7-string, but you know, I had 2 extras sitting around. I'm like, I'm going to do this one of these days where I'm going to put these on my bass. And there's no real rhyme or reason putting on a knob. These ones don't, some of them have a little Allen, you know, bolt there that'll screw into the post. You got to be careful with them, because if you have a cheaper pot, the metal's soft and the compression of that will actually crack it, and then you're shit out of luck. And then that's what I had to do with my green guitar that used to be my original black one, the Zen Riffer. I actually had to sit there and pull a perfectly good volume pot out because the post was broke. Electronically, it worked fine. The knobs kept falling off. So I had to freaking take it out. Of course, everything else electronically is, you know, usually grounded to the volume pot. So, you know, we're talking, you know, unsoldering like 4 or 5 solder points, and this is the pain in the ass and annoying. So, I don't like using them much, but I find these speed knobs, they're efficient, they're inexpensive, and they, you know, they're awesome, and they don't beat up on the post, you know, so you don't have to replace something just because a damn post broke. Look at that shit, man. That is slick as whale dick, man. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that killer? Look at that. Sheesh, Maxie. Damn, man. Damn, she's slick. She purred. She purred. Yeah, buddy. Badass instrument here. So yeah, I like those knobs a lot. That'll work. That will work. Alright, so I used to have a red strap, but I ended up giving it to my friend Ashley with her black and white Strat that I built. Well, I didn't really build it, I upgraded it for her. Yeah, but she has so I'm gonna just go with a black one for now. But once I find one, I do like the Jimi Hendrix style Paisley ones. I have a really bitchin' one on my my semi-hollow body, and I also got one on the Strat. It would be cool on this, but I don't want it to be ostentatious. I want this thing to be, you know, slim. And red, I go with the black because whatever I'm wearing, you know. And honestly, for video, the aesthetic is important, you know. I've got to be color coordinated. My grandmother would roll around in her grave if she knew I wasn't being. I guess I got that from her. That's all well. I certainly didn't get it from my mom. God knows I love her. She's not as fastidious as me when it comes to things. She's obsessive in other facets, but she doesn't care if something's not where it belongs. Like, you know what I mean? Not that that's a bad thing. I actually kind of envy it sometimes in that, and when I see that in people, because I'm not that. All right, so I just got some rubber strap locks on it, and yeah. Well, there she blows, man. She badass bitch. That's Brunhilde for you. I had the red strings on it years ago, when actually I had it on loan, and I replaced the stock strings that the young man had on there, and I told him when I gave it back to him, I'm like, dude, if you ever sell it, I want first dibs. Call me. And he called me, and I bought it on the spot because I recorded my first EP in 2015 with this badass thing. All of it. It actually inspired it. I was like, I can't believe how awesome this thing sounds. And yeah, I started on the bass when I was a teenager. Huh. It's funny how sometimes things come full circle. I wouldn't say I'm a bassist. I approach the bass like I approach the guitar. Play it like a guitar, like a lead bass sound, if you will. But I'm starting to get into some neo soul and R&B and some funk, old funk. You know, playing that shit. Yeah, man, that's where it's at. Anyway, hope you guys appreciated me sharing this with you guys, and hope you enjoyed. Yeah, I'm looking towards the future where I can actually make some more content and more on the benches, because this is fun. I enjoy this. This is just as much fun as making the Not So Daily Jam Cam. So, but all right. Well, I'm gonna send off now, and then when I come back, I'll play a little number for you, a little jam session, and we'll call it an evening. All right.